The story of Joseph. Jacob settled in Canaan, the promised land. He had 12 sons, and among these he loved Joseph most of all. The other sons of Jacob resented this preference, and therefore they hate Joseph. When Joseph was 16 years old, Jacob had a coat of many colors made for him. These all the more and kind his brothers jealousy, and they never spoke kindly to Joseph again. Now Joseph had two dreams, two very strange dreams. In one, he saw himself and his brothers binding sheaves of corn in a field as they work. His sheep stood upright while his brothers' sheaves all gathered around it and bowed to it. Another dream, he saw the sun, the moon, and 11 stars bow before him and honor him. When he heard of Joseph's dream, Jacob wondered. What? He cried. Shall you rule over us? Shall I and your mother and brothers bow before you? When Joseph related his dreams to his brothers, they hate him without bounds. They were jealous of him because of what dreams, honors went to Joseph. Joseph and his brothers were shepherds. One day, Jacob sent Joseph to the field where his brothers were tending the flocks. When his brothers saw him coming, they said to one another, "Let us kill him and throw his body into a pit. We shall tell our father that a beast killed him." But Reuben, the oldest brother, wished to save Joseph's life. He said, "Let us not kill him. Let us throw him into a deep hole in the ground here in the wilderness. But let us not shed his blood." As soon as Joseph arrived, his brothers took his coat of many colors and threw him into a big hole. Then they all sat down to eat, except Reuben, who had gone away. A little later, some merchants who were on their way to Egypt passed by. Judah, one of the brothers, said, "What good will it do to us if we kill our brother? Let us sell him to these merchants instead." The others agreed. They pulled Joseph out of the pit and sold him to the merchants for 20 pieces of silver. Thus Joseph was brought by the merchants of Egypt. Reuben did not know what his brothers had done. He was full of sorrow when he did not find Joseph in the hole where they had thrown him. Meanwhile, the others had taken Joseph's coat and dipped it into the blood of a kid. They then sent it to their father with a message, "This is what we found. It is your son's coat." Jacob answered, "Indeed it is. A wild beast must have eaten Joseph." And believing that his son was dead, Jacob was inconsolable. The merchants who took Joseph to Egypt sold him to a rich man, a captain in the king's army, whose name was Potiphar. Joseph pleased his master and was placed over all his possessions. Because of Joseph, the Lord showered blessings upon the house of the Egyptian. Potiphar became richer and richer. But Potiphar's wife was mean to Joseph. One day, the weak woman became very angry to Joseph and told her husband a weak lie about him. Potiphar believed her and had Joseph sent to prison. But God took care of Joseph and helped him to do everything well, even in prison. The prison guard soon came to love Joseph. He put him in charge of all the other prisoners, among whom were the king's chief butler and chief baker. One day, Joseph saw that these two servants of the king's house were very sad because the night before they each had a dream which nobody could interpret. Joseph then told them that he was going to tell them the meaning of their dreams. This was the butler's dream. He saw a vine with 3 branches. Out of these branches came ripe fruits, which he took and pressed into the king's cup and gave to him to drink. Joseph explained that the 3 branches meant 3 days. Within 3 days, the king will forgive you and take you back into his service. He told the butler, "Do not forget to help me out of prison when you are free." The butler gladly promised to help Joseph when he should be with the king again. The baker had dreamed that he carried 3 baskets on his head. The biggest basket contained all kinds of pastry, which the birds came and eat. Joseph explained that the 3 baskets meant 3 days. Within 3 days, the baker was going to be hung, and the birds would come to eat his flesh. On the 3rd day, everything happened as Joseph has predicted. The chief butler was restored to his job in the house of the king, while the chief baker was hung. However, the chief butler forgot his promise to help Joseph out of prison, and for 2 more years Joseph had to languish in it. Now it was the turn of Egypt's ruler to have a dream that none of the wise men in Egypt could interpret. He dreamed that he was standing near a river when out of it came 7 fat and beautiful cows. As they grazed in the meadow, seven lean and ugly cows came out of the river and eat up the fat cows. At this, the king wake up, frightened at his dream. Then he slept again. This time, he dreamed that 7 full and good ears of corn grew from one stalk. Then 7 thin and withered ears grew upon the same stalk and began to eat up the 7 good ears. The king was seriously troubled by his dreams, particularly because no one could tell him their meaning. Finally, the chief butler remembered Joseph. He spoke of Joseph to the king, who immediately ordered the prisoner to be brought before him. The king said to Joseph, I had dreams, but no one can tell me what they mean. I heard that you are a very wise man. Joseph answered, God himself will tell you the answer of your dreams. God has shown you by these dreams what is going to take place. For 7 years, there will be plenty of everything. Then 7 years of famine will follow. And Joseph continued, let the king place one man over the land of Egypt. Let this man see to it that 1/5 of the harvest is placed into the barns. Let the corn be put away in cities. Let all this be done to prepare for the years of famine, and Egypt will not suffer. The king became very hot. He said to Joseph, you shall be over my house. All my people shall obey you. I alone will be above you.